Welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk with Lakshmi. Well, viewers, this week's episode is going to be a little bit different. There's been lots of talks, of course, about domestic violence and violence in general in society. This week, we take a little different view on a men's perspective. Today, we have a panel of men. We have Ruben Vega from the military. We have Kenneth Rampersad, who is a detox nurse. And we have Haresh Gopi, who is a journalist. So, gentlemen, first of all, thank you so much for joining us here on Let's Talk with Lakshmi. We are touching upon a very, very important topic of domestic violence. So, my first question, gentlemen, is, why would one stay? Why does a woman stay? We look at a woman in a position and we see her being abused, we hear the stories, we see the trauma, the marks on her skin, and we think to ourselves, why would this woman stay in something like this? So tell me, why doesn't she leave? Ruben.
Well, from my personal experiences, actually, I have seen that a lot have to do with her self-esteem and education. The woman have to be actually properly aware of where she stands in society, that she's just not a common object to anybody willing and nilly to do with. So she's a person, she has a soul, she has a being and she's worthwhile to herself. So she has to feel that in herself, that she's just not this person that anybody could take advantage of. The education part is actually, she has to know that she has rights, that this is not an acceptable way to live, and it's not an acceptable procedure to be in all the time.
Okay.
Hi, Lakshmi. I want to say thank you very much for bringing a highlight to this topic. It's very important in our society today. One of the things that I think about women, they stay, is they're scared of the future. What's ahead of them? If they make this decision, what's going to happen of them tomorrow? Especially if they have kids. It becomes more complex, and it's not as easy as we really think as society. We might say, why do you stay? But as I said, it's so technical, and you must have the support to move on. Things must be in place. It's good to have your support of probably some friends, your religious organization, your parents. It helps. It's a good thing. And when you have all these things that's in place, then you can go ahead and make your plan. And one of the other thing I would like to advise young people is that if you're in a relationship that's bad, you must make a decision when you want to leave that you're going to make this departure of this relationship, because it doesn't make sense that you go back and forth in this relationship where the guy would really think that, you know what, I have a hold on her, I can do anything to her and she's going to come back. No, don't tolerate no foolishness. The first time you see this guy hit you, it's a time for you to wake up and see what's going to happen, because you know what, the thing is that from what I see from experience, is that it's not going to change. These guys are not going to change. They are good charmers. They're going to talk to you. They're going to take you to bed. We'll have some good sex. And they think it's all over with. But no, another day, it's another whole story. So again, if you're in this relationship, make sure when you cut and run, you're gone, you don't come back. And like I heard a saying before, if you lick your own vomit, all it does, it's sour your stomach. So, all the best.
Thank you.
Well, Latch, thank you very much for having me. Normally I interview people, and this is an honor for someone to interview me.
Okay.
So when we do a news report and we say why, a lot of people comment, why didn't she leave?
Right.
Okay, first and first, financial wise, she can't just pick up and leave. Now, if someone wants to take away your kids, you will try your very best to save them. I grew up without knowing my dad, right? He left my mom. He wasn't there in my life. I wanted that. So a mother now would look, okay, if I'm going to take away my kids from their father, is it the right thing to do? They're going to think, for my example, if I did grow up with a father, I don't want my kids to grow up without a father. I wouldn't want them to grow up without a mother either. So there's a lot of basics there that you got to look at before judging. I would say that's judging. Do not say why she didn't leave.
So we see women of all sorts, fashions, colors, sizes. Does a woman that's experiencing domestic violence, do they have a certain look? What does one look like?
I would say no.
No.
It can happen to anybody. It can even happen to me as a male. I can be here experiencing abuse and I can be putting on a fake smile in front of you right now.
Yes, the sad truth is that domestic abuse can happen to anyone, rich, poor, pretty, ugly, anybody. So that's how it goes.
Yeah, it doesn't have a gender, it doesn't have a stereotype. It could be anybody. I mean, even children nowadays, they're getting abused by other children. So it's becoming a very common aspect to society that it's just, I'm kind of glad that it's being more addressed now than it was before. So a lot of these things that were happening in the past, people that were staying quiet, now they're saying, no, it's enough, And it was about time. It
It's
was.
about time.
Yes, it is.
You know, we have these hashtags going around about, hashtag Me Too, hashtag It's About Time. You mentioned about kids, bullying kids. There's so much of
But not only
cyber-
bullying, they're even sexually abusing one another.
Right.
Because just recently before coming over here, I saw a case of this 16-year-old raping girls in school. He just grabbed them right there in the locker room and raped them right in school. The school district transferred them to another district because they didn't want to deal with them.
So tell me, where does a 16-year-old learn this? Where does a 16-year-old, which in my eyes is a child, where does he learn to do this?
Probably he was abused too.
Exactly.
Probably he have a history of abuse, or he see this happen,
So now when we see someone at the age of 16 doing something like this, who do we blame? Do we blame the child? Do we blame the parent? Should the child be arrested? I mean, what happens here?
I don't think you should blame. You should look at 16, you try to fix it. Get him counseling, see what you can do, because at the age of 30, there's no fixing there. You can grow him into a man and teach him the values of it.
And like you said, counseling, one of the good things that we have in New York City is that we have counseling in every aspect. And it's free. You don't have to pay for these things. So I think the earlier you catch these things, it's better for the person that they can get counseling at different levels. So
Let's talk a little bit about men being abused now. I mean, we always hear about women being abused. Of course, the numbers of women being abused, of course, I'm sure is way higher, much higher than men being abused. But not to say that men are not abused. Now, you deal with a lot of people in your line of business. You're a detox nurse. You deal
Right.
with a lot of people as far as alcoholics, drug abusers, rape victims.
Right.
Do you come across a lot of men being abused?
you know what? Not really. But we know there is abuse in male too. And like we were saying that, sometimes male, when you're being abused, it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
It's embarrassing for the woman too. And so that's not something that you go in a locker room and you discuss with your friends. Hey, my wife just beat me up last night.
Right.
It's not something you do. But as we know, there is abuse going on. We need to address it. Because I find that things, before it get better, it's going to get worse.
Of course.
And you need to stop it,
Now, Ruben, I know you work with the military.
Yes.
Now, how prevalent is it that you hear about men being abused?
Very much. And the problem with the military aspect is actually, it's such a male-dominated industry that the egos and the self-esteem is very high. Mm-hmm. So in order for a male to come out and willingly say that I'm being abused by my wife or my girlfriend, it's very low. They will not say it to any caregiver or anybody within their command. They will actually go outside to somebody that does not know that they're in the military. They will keep that anonymous and will get themselves treated with something, that aspect. A lot of times it's actually with the military, is they do not leave because either they're afraid of the repercussions that they're going to get with the female, what kind of financial status that she's going to be in with the children, and the other one is actually how does he look towards his peers as a weak male.
Right.
So that stereotype is actually something that is very, very bad within the military system itself. So it has to change.
So do you find where, in most cases when they say, okay, a woman is experiencing domestic violence, one of the first things people say is leave him? Do you find that with men too, or do you find more that they say do counseling, or maybe they just laugh it off? What do you find when it happens to men?
With us, it's actually, they go for the counseling right away.
Okay.
Do the counseling first, and if it doesn't work out, then work yourself out of the relationship.
I totally agree with that,
Yeah.
counseling first. Yeah. Because we try to save the marriage.
Now, Harish, you're probably the youngest of the group here,
Yes.
right? And with your peers, do you find abuse when it comes to, like, I'd say the boyfriend situation rather than husband
Right.
and wife, because
Yeah.
you're in a different
Well,
league.
none of my friends ever come forward. But in the media, we got reports of it. And Guyana, back home, when a male report is at a police station, he have that problem where no one would take action. They would just laugh it.
It's very interesting that you're saying about no action. There's a story going on right now about a young boy named Sean Seaborn. And Sean is missing. I believed he lived in New York. Now he lives in Florida. And he's been missing since December 31st, New Year's Eve. And what I have noticed is the story of Sean Seaborn missing for it's about 3 weeks now. Sean's story is not going viral. Now, I could be wrong, but I think if it was a woman that was missing for 3 weeks, that story would have gotten, hundreds and hundreds of shares rather than less than 20 shares. Do you guys agree?
I think that, in today's society, people don't expect men to be abused. It's not a normal thing that you hear that a man is abused. You hear it all the time, a woman being abused. And so I think that's why, and the only time I heard about it was on your page, and I saw it, and I share it too.
Thank
But
you.
you're welcome. And after that, I haven't heard anything about it since, But we must be, fair across the board. We report a female missing and, a male missing. We should get the same, it should draw the same or attract the same attention. Give love on both sides. All right?
Well, from my perspective, it's actually more that it's a male disappears for a couple of days. He's gallivanting with his friends, or
Getting
he's
up.
somewhere and on vacation, and he'll come back soon. So that's what society will think of. So when this person disappears, that's what they're going to think of. But if a woman disappears for a couple of hours, couple of days, society then went away. Okay, what happened to that woman? And that is such a misconception, because the same thing that happens to a woman happens to a man.
So, Ruben, let me ask you a question. If your sister was being abused,
Yes.
would you tell her to stay, or would you tell her to leave? Would you tell her to get counseling? What would you do?
Okay. Myself, if my sister's being abused, I feel sorry for the guy.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
I'm telling you right now, I feel
Right.
sorry for the guy, because I won't tolerate that. I'm not going to tolerate that. I won't tolerate it for my sister. I won't tolerate it for none of my 2 daughters. Nobody's going to touch none of my girls. No one. I have brothers and I have cousins that I feel the same way. So that guy, whoever it is, I feel sorry for him.
Better watch out.
Yeah, he better watch out. He just better.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. And that's something that we as a family, we let people know that we are not going to tolerate this from nobody, male or female. And that's just our protective way of letting people know that, listen, you're welcome to the family. We respect you, but you respect our family as well.
Now, Kenneth, if you had a brother and he was being abused, would you tell him to get counseling, or would you tell him to leave?
I want to go back to Ruben.
All right.
I want to go.
You're going to jump into with
Yeah, I'm
the
going to jump in that part,
Okay.
and then I'll get back to you. Now, it all depends. And we know that abuse in a relationship is a very complex thing. And I would want to talk to my sister and ask her what she really wants to do. Because it's important. It's not me, it's you. And the severity of the abuse Now, if they're arguing a little verbal abuse, I can say, all right, I will probably have a word with my brother-in-law. Let him know that, I like my sister, I love my sister, and, we can work things out. I can help mediate this thing, or let's go for counseling and see what we could do. And probably if things doesn't work out, then we, if it's serious business, then I'll have to tell my sister, well, you have to get out of this relationship. That's our Guyanese style.
Right.
But luckily in this country, you get counseling for every little thing. And we should utilize it, like I said, it all depends. Because what I find a lot of times, you want what's best for your sister or your family, but they decide to stay right in that relationship and take the abuse. So it's a little more complex thing to get into.
Okay.
If my brother come and tell me that he's abused,
Wait a minute, before you answer that question, I actually want Ruben to answer that question. If your brother was being abused now, would you tell him, are you going to go beat up his wife? Like, what are you going to do here? Like, with the brother situation now?
Funny you asked that question because my brother was actually in that situation, and I basically what I did, I took him out, and actually we went out and I spoke with him. I told him, listen, this is what I see that your wife is doing to you. Okay, it's wrong. You shouldn't allow yourself to be treated that fashion. You have to do something about this. I spoke to his wife as well. I said, listen, I see the way you treat my brother. I don't like it. For that reason, my brother and her showing me out for years. We didn't speak to each other for years because I stepped up and I intervened. But their relationship actually worked out because they did get the counseling.
Okay. So in that case, counseling works. Okay, Kenneth, tell me. Now, if it was your brother being abused, what would you do?
Yeah, again, and I'm speaking mostly from experience,
Yes.
from, working with people or
Work-wise.
talking to people and so on. And I find that, a lot of times it's what the person want to do is in that relationship. And, it's good to be neutral and supportive. That two things, neutral and supportive. And you want to know what's causing this problem because sometimes, Ruben, your brother could be doing a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He probably have 5 children somewhere. So let us examine this whole situation. Let's get into the dynamics and see what's going on, really. And from then on, you take things. And, in these kind of things, I think you should go gently, not being demanding, not being forceful. Because on the other hand, I wouldn't want my sister-in-law to feel that I'm taking sides. Because in these situations, you have to be careful, you have to tread lightly of how you're going to deal with this. As I said, it's very complex.
So it's very interesting that, I know you're coming from a military background. You're coming from a counseling background as well.
Right, and nursing,
Nursing, counseling, but you counsel, all of these victims of, alcohol abuse, drug abuse.
Right.
But now, Harish,
Yes.
I know that you recently came here to New York from Guyana, and we find a lot of people in the Caribbean, it's like the families don't address these issues, your husband's beating you. It's already love you. That's why
Yeah.
he's beating you,
Listen
right?
again.
Oh, you married him, you got to stay there. It's like you can't come back home. You got married, you
Right.
stay right there. Like you see this a lot. Why do you think that? First of all, do you see that the families are saying stay in the abusive relationship? And if you do see that, why do you think they say stay in that relationship?
Okay, it's all about the morals that their mother or father teach them, and they want to pass it down. But back then, it didn't have that abuse. This is something that's happening now. Now, when a mother says, "Don't
So
come
you're
home,"
saying back in the times when your parents were married, abuse wasn't happening? Is that what you're saying?
no, I would say not my parents, my grandparents. Back then, yeah.
Okay.
In school, I attended primary school in Guyana. Abuse wasn't being taught that much. When I touched grade 6, then I know about abuse.
Being taught, but was it
Yeah.
happening?
Well, I can't remember.
You're not
much
aware
about
of
that.
it.
Yeah, I
You're
wasn't
not
aware
aware
of
of
that.
it. You're not
Stone was
aware
a
of
little
it.
kid in
No
the
way, yeah, kind of
Okay.
weird. Now, I know a specific person in the media that was being abused. And she called her mom and said, "Mom, I want to come home." She
And
said,
what did
"No,
mom say?
you got to stay there, you got to work it out, that's your life." Now, that's where parents has to come in and say, "Yes, come home." Now, if you have that support, you can prevent everything from
Mhm.
happening.
Now, at what point, guys, do you think that intervention should happen? I mean, maybe this was an argument between the girl and her husband, but when we start seeing the marks, right, and the trauma and the depression, because these emotions, they show up, right? They show up in your face, in your feelings, in your skin. Like, people will see the difference. You can tell when someone is depressed and when someone is happy.
Correct.
So at what point is it an intervention where it's counseling? And at what point is it when you say, you got to leave?
But the aspect of abuse is also, we have to also address the mental abuse. Because you could mentally abuse a person and never touch them. So when it starts becoming detrimental to that person's health and well-being, that's when that person has to get out. Because that's already being into a point that that person could start thinking of committing suicide.
Right.
So that's the intervention. When you start seeing that deterioration of the person's being, somebody has to intervene.
So kind of, why do you think families say, stay?
You know, a lot of times they think that, you know, you're married for good or for bad. And no matter what happened, good or bad, you stays. But we're in modern society now, and our ladies now, they're becoming more, they're educating themselves. They're doing a lot of things for themselves. They're making themselves marketable. And the time of change where they have a voice. And so most women are utilizing that, where they're saying, no, I'm not going to take this no more. I'm going to do better for myself. I'm going to leave. And it's a good thing that they're doing that, because, you know, we all were born into this world. It's a one-shot deal. We're not coming back, or we don't know if we are coming back. And I believe wholeheartedly that we should love our women. We should treat them respectfully. We must also allow our women to grow, help them to fly, to soar the sky, so to speak. And I believe that, you know, and I say with my own relationship now, if you love a woman and you let her grow, I believe, experience, I believe that it's going to help this relationship. There is no power struggle really going on in this relationship. You give me some and I'll give you some. You make me happy, I'll make you happy. And so what the world is about. We were not born here to control anybody, or nobody control us. It should be a free spirit world. That's how I look at it.
You know,
Like you mentioned, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like you
ahead.
mentioned, it's something that actually, that's something that has to start in the house.
Right,
Because as a parent, I teach my daughter how a man should treat her.
right.
And that's how she picks her relationship. Because if I treat her bad, then she says, oh, daddy treated me bad, so I could accept this man treating me bad. No, daddy
Right.
treats you good. So you want somebody that treats you good. Because that's the way you were brought up.
Correct.
You know, let me ask you guys something. Why do you think men think that they can get away with this? I mean, why? I mean, you mentioned upbringing, but at what point does a man look at a woman as his property? I mean, sometimes relationships, you know, it's all great, it's all dandy, and then next thing you know, the guy's asking, where are you going? Who are you talking to? How long did you talk to them for? Who are they? Why are you going there? You know, what are the signals? You know, what should a woman be looking for to say, ding, 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 you know, this guy might end up wanting to control me, possess me, maybe beat me in the future? Are there any signals? What should we look out for?
That's a huge insecurity on the male part. And a lot of times it's actually, I'm blaming you because I'm doing it. So I'm taking the attention from me and I'm going to blame you. So I'm the one who's cheating, but I'm going to blame you for cheating. Who are you talking to? But I'm the one who's doing it. So that's a huge insecurity, because now he's getting to that egotistical aspect, like, oh, I'm doing it, so she's doing it. So now I'm going to possess you not to do it.
Okay.
I want to go back to Guyana, because, you know, we're from Guyana.
Right.
And so there's a culture in Guyana where I know from growing up, I see my dad didn't beat my mother, but I see some of my neighbors, they beat their wife. They work all week. They get paid on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They come home, they beat their wife, they go and sleep, they go drink. So it's a pattern that a lot of young people see. And in Guyana, if you have money, you can pay your way out.
Right.
You're not being tried for anything, or you're not being arrested for anything.
Right.
And then in a lot of cases too, you will find that women sometimes, yes, they report, but then they go and they beg back for the guy.
Yes.
And then they said, you know what, don't arrest him. Please, that's my husband. I love him. But one thing we have to realize is that, in abuse, it doesn't get better. The guy come, like I said before, he rub you up, you leave, you go to your mother, you come back home, right? He do the same thing to you, and it's a pattern. Luckily now that, like, we are in United States of America, we're in a rich country, you have all the resources, and so now women have a voice, and they can stand up for themselves. You can call the police, 4 or 5 car load come, arrest you, you have to go to court. As we were saying earlier, that they have to take a report now when you call the police. So yes, women they're talking back and they're getting where they're supposed to go, which is a good thing.
So let me ask you
that's
guys
the
a
Caribbean
question.
problem, basically.
Yes,
That's the Caribbean. Because in Puerto Rico, they have a saying in Spanish: Monday through Friday you belong to work, Saturday you belong to the mistress, and Sunday you belong to the family, which you go to church.
That's
Wow.
true. It's a Caribbean thing.
Yeah.
So it's a Caribbean thing.
Yeah, it seems so. You don't see that over here. So it could be a Caribbean thing.
So let me ask you guys a question. I mean, every time we hear about domestic violence, it's all of a sudden the men are, being looked at and looked down upon and being blamed. I mean, how do you men feel about when, a case of domestic violence occurs? How do you feel? Do you feel affected by this? Tell me, Ruben, how do you feel?
I feel hurt. I feel like I should apologize to every woman for the way these person is treating her, because they shouldn't be doing that. It's just hurtful for me. It is.
I'm as a nurse, I'm very sympathetic and I have that empathy. But I tell you, it's sad in every way, shape, or form. It's sad that women shouldn't be abused. They are made to be loved. Bottom line, they doesn't have they're tougher than us, but they doesn't have the manpower to really fight back. And so I think that it's a good saying that you will get more. The saying that you get more
with honey
bee with the honey,
Yeah.
than with vinegar. So I believe in that theory. I really believe in that, and we should all. And I'm telling the young men them now, you know what? Stop. It's time to stop abusing these women. You know what I'm saying? Allow them to grow. Allow them to be themselves. This is what life is about. You have your life and you respect each other. Assist each other. You know what I'm saying? I am not saying there would not be disagreement in your relationship. No relationship is perfect. But we must love each other in order for us to grow. And I find it very difficult for you to say you love somebody today and then tonight you want to go sleep with them and make love to them. I think it's ridiculous. Come on. Let's start loving our women.
Right.
But I would say that, when we do a case and they say the men, I feel bad. I was like, that same man that did the abuse, come try it with me. Come hit me. He's taking advantage. And that's not supposed to happen. Taking advantage of a woman is like a gem. You protect it.
I love all three of these men here today. So the men that are maybe not that great to their women and abusing their women, take a page out of their books here is what I would say. So guys, I want to talk about one last thing. What about relationships where they're both beating each other, right? I mean, sometimes we hear the men are beating the women or the women are beating the men. What about the cases that they both put on the gloves and they're, we're not playing around and kickboxing here, but they're actually physically fighting with each other? What do you say about those type of relationships?
They need help.
Yeah.
Both of them need help.
Not just help. In Ghana, they had a case like this, and both of them went to jail.
Ooh.
Yeah, both of them went to jail for abuse. inflicting what you call it? Oh my God, I forgot. Inflicted body harm on each other.
Talking about jail time, I mean, domestic violence. I mean, what does anybody know what type of jail time someone gets if they're abusing their wives, or is it a case to case?
It's a case-to-case
Case to
basis.
case, yeah.
I think it depends on how it goes, yeah.
Like
I'm
if the
not sure.
person's wife get injured or anything,
Yeah.
then it might be more severe, you know.
Or if it was attempted murder, then it'd be more, depends on how it is.
I
Now-
want to add one thing.
Yes.
That when these women call the police and the police come and it's a protective order of protection. What I want to advise, and I'm going to watch in the camera and says this,
Yeah.
when the police make the judge order that and say you cannot see your husband or your husband can't come to the house, please don't let it come. Please follow the order.
Yeah.
Far too many times I can see these women go back, they sneak the men in, they do all manner of things, and you're just complicating your own life. One more thing, when you're in a relationship and you start a relationship and you don't have any kids and you see your husband abusing you, beating you, putting you out on the streets, nowhere to go, rethink about this before you go and have any kids with this man. Because then things become more complicated. It's harder for you to go, So that's it.
Well, gentlemen, it was really amazing having you all on. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
giving me
Yeah, it's been a
your
pleasure.
perspective from a male's point of view, because I know the topic is very prevalent in not only in our community but around the world. And everyone is very concerned about domestic violence. We're all concerned about the current hashtag of Me Too. And here's where we will say enough is enough. And when I see men like the three of you standing up for women, standing up against violence, I know there's still hope for us women.
There is.
There is.
Yeah,
There
there's a lot,
surely
a
is.
lot.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
welcome.
And thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us and highlight this topic.
Thank you. And viewers, thank you again for tuning in and listening to the Men's Perspective. Now, if you are experiencing any type of violence, any type of situation at home, there is a hotline number. It is the National Domestic for Violence, and that is 800-799-7233. And if you cannot remember the number, just remember, dial 311. The operators are standing by to help you in any case. Thank you and stay safe. Remember, let the women speak.
Hi, I'm Dr. Priya, and welcome to Precious Smiles Medical Care, a wonderful place to make sure that all of your child's medical care needs are met. We take care of kids as young as newborns all the way up until their adolescent years till they turn 18. We provide in-house vaccines and in-house lab facilities so that you don't have to take them anywhere else. So come in, let us be your partners in care at Precious Smiles Medical Care, where every kid leaves with a smile.
At Triple Crown Auto Sales, we are driven to be the different, the best, to be your luxury car dealership. Don't be a victim of bad credit or no credit. Let us get you into a luxury car today. Guaranteed credit approval. All income are welcomed. Self-employed, cash, Social Security fixed income or disability, W-2 unemployed fixed income. Let us show you the respect you just don't get from other dealers. We know that bad things happen to good people. Everyone deserves to drive in luxury. Visit us at triplecrowncars.com or call us at 516-488-2200.
When looking at places that cares for the elderly, My Indian Nursing Home is that perfect place. We provide a clean and safe family environment with culturally experienced and qualified medical staff on site, such as doctors, nurses, physical therapists, and cooks. All of our residents can celebrate cultural festivities and have access to recreational programs with Indian TV, music, live shows, entertainment, and so much more. For the perfect place for comfort, culture, and care, bring your parents to My Indian Nursing Home, a home away from home.
Contact Heavenly Flowers too for all of your floral decor and event planning. For the best, fresh, quality flowers, courteous service, best price, and more, call 516-747-0454 or 631-598-6800. All major credit cards are accepted, delivered to all 5 boroughs. Mention Let's Talk for a 10% discount. We promise to make every experience heavenly. Visit us on the web at www.heavenlyflowers.net.
experience to succeed in today's complex and changing business environment.
And supports the immediate efforts of our students while laying the foundation for lifelong learning.
I want to move up to management, so I'm in the hospitality management program.
I'm passionate about the safety of our community, so I'm in the homeland security and security management program.
We are a military-approved school, and we participate in the Yellow Ribbon program.
Libby provides lifetime job placement assistance.
To learn more about our degrees and certificates, visit our website at libby.edu.
Planning a vacation? Contact TravelSpan for the best service and deals to Guyana, Trinidad, the Caribbean, and anywhere in the world. Ask about our special Caribbean packages, our cruise packages, and our escorted tours to Dubai and India. Contact TravelSpan now at 718-845-0437 or book online at travelspan.com. TravelSpan, a finer quality in travel.
For all your special private and professional occasions, no event is too big or too small. We cover it all. Contact the professional source for all your party or special occasion needs. We have you covered at Star Party Rentals. Call us 516-239-2242. Please mention Let's Talk with Lakshmi for discount pricing.
When a young girl visits Guyana, she learns of her ancestors' past that changes her life forever.
When I was your age, my father told me a story.
The first batch of Indians arrived in British Guyana to replace slave labor. Echoes from the plantation relives their struggles and sufferings, tells of their resilience and fortitude.
My father, my grandfather, as well as thousands of others have sacrificed their lives.
Celebrating 180 years of Indian arrival in Guyana, Echoes from the Plantation, releasing April 2018.
Guyana, oh Guyana.
I know this school is a place set up in the community to help children to further them education, to achieve a goal, a computer certificate. I want to thank God for the scholarship for Rebecca Jerram, sponsored by the school. And the owner, I just want to thank God for them. They can continue do the good work as they are doing in this community.
I want to say a special thanks to Save Happy Computer School because my daughter went to school. She do a computer course here, and she went for an interview at the Regional Democratic Council for a job with 49 persons for 2 spots. And she indicated to them that she do a course at Save Happy Computer School and she do have a certificate. And as soon as she produced the certificate, she was hired on the spot.
Again now. Let's talk with Lakshmi. Bring the topics, let we chat.